Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you all have day jobs. This is.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. So hey guys, I'm not getting my screen. My slide advancer here for some reason. I can't.
Are you not getting? Is the cursor controller not changing for you in order to open up the slides?
No.
Laurel, do you want to stop like the playing option? Do you want to stop the playing and turn it back on? That should fix that.
Do what?
You
have the same power as I do. Okay.
Oh, hang on a sec. Okay, hang on. I'll go into
Hi
how many
guys.
pages do we have?
VR girl things.
Oh, here.
I like your name.
You got it?
Okay.
Okay,
I got it now.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you for coming. Mike,
Because I wanted to put on this slide.
Rose, tinted archer, beautiful.
Okay, so.
We really do need the fire today, don't we? It's pretty cold in Seattle.
Yeah, and Wales.
It's good to warm your buns by the fire, right?
It's cold here in California. It's
Oh well, yeah.
it's fine.
What are you out in the sun and under the palm trees, snipping Coco Locos or something?
Well, it went from -29 Fahrenheit to -13 Fahrenheit, but we're still under extreme cold warning.
Wow.
And so.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Donna wins.
Fireplace required. Fireplaces now become essential.
Yeah. Still fireplaces, yeah.
Oh.
I feel like a big baby.
I try not to point that out to people, but I have a few people in an event from California or from Florida, and they're always complaining about. They have to go from shorts to pants. Like, I feel so sorry.
Yeah.
The violin is very small. Okay, you guys, why don't I think we'll maybe get started. Is that okay, Tom? Are you good with that?
Sure. You ready?
Yeah.
Angelina?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Awesome.
Born ready.
I was born ready.
So I just want to here, maybe I'll just go a little bit like this. I'll move as soon as I'm done. But I want to welcome you all to Fireside Chats. Is there anybody here that has never been to one of Tom's Fireside Chats before? Is there anyone that's brand new? Oh, you guys are in for a treat. And you know what? From now on, you're going to be watching your calendars and you're going to want to not miss any more of these because they are just awesome experiences. Now, my name is Donna. Donna McTee is how my name is pronounced. My display name is pronounced. And I have the amazing opportunity to work with educators in VR. And this event is done in partnership with Virtual World Society and the EdVR production. So, and we're excited for that. I just want to explain just a couple of things. Today, right now, we are still only at one room. So feel free. You could go up the stairs. You could do that grand entrance up the stairs, the winding staircase, and you can watch from up top if you want or spread out. But just so you know, and when we get started, we're going to mute everyone. And just so you know, please don't take this personally. If you've been to events in Altspace, I'm sure that you've had the experience of being muted. We really do that just to keep down the device noise that we all have because mics on our devices are just so super sensitive. Okay, during the Q&A, your voice will be amplified. So we'll talk about that when we get to the Q&A section. Okay, so I just want it's a thrill for me every time, no matter how long I know Tom. It's a thrill to introduce Tom Furness. He is the co-founder of Virtual World Society, and he truly is the grandfather of VR. So you guys are in for a treat. I will let Tom introduce his special guest today. So Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Donna. Really appreciate that, and really appreciate our family here and our relationship with educators in VR and for helping us make this possible. And thank you, everyone, for coming. It's always we like to think of ourselves as a family. So this is sort of a family event. We're sort of gathered in this amazing room that Mark has built for us. Mark over here on the side, and sitting in front of the fire. Those of you in California, I mean, you'd always stand to have a little more warmth, right? So so it's wonderful to have everybody with us. Now, today we're in for a really special treat. Our guest today is Angelina Dayton. It turns out, Angelina, I don't know if you realize this, but this is the first anniversary of our first meeting. Remember, we met in February of last year at the Educators in VR Summit. And then we met backstage after I gave my talk, and you introduced yourself, and then I was just, my mouth, you couldn't see it, but my mouth was hanging open. But how in the world did you get the name the VR Lady?
So this is one of my favorite stories to tell because about 2 years ago, I bought a bunch of equipment and I was contracted out by the American Indian Resource Center here in Cherokee Nation to bring virtual reality out to some schools. And so I had this huge bag that most people put their sports equipments in, and I had Go's and I had Quests, and I piled them all into this bag, and I would take them out to various schools. And when they would see me, in if you can see in the picture in my lab coat, rolling this huge piece of equipment bag with me, behind me, the kids would run to the gate on the playground and yell, "The VR lady's here! The VR lady's here!" And they never really learned my name. They just knew me as the VR lady. And then as time passed, I would be at Walmart or at the grocery store, and I would see one of the little kids, and they'd pull on their dad or their mom and say, "That's the VR lady." And so when I decided to get on social media and start doing some more work, it just became the name that they had given me and what everybody knew me as. And so you are the grandfather of VR, and I'm the VR lady, and I feel like we're related, so it works.
We are related. It's in our genes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Angelina that you about the Cherokee Nation. Now tell us about that. What's your connection?
So about 5 years ago, I moved out here with my family to Cherokee Nation. So that my daughter could, because she's Cherokee, and we wanted to make sure that our children could speak our native language, so she could attend the Cherokee Nation Immersion School, which is done all in Cherokee. Now, Chloe speaks more than just Cherokee; she's kind of a polyglot, so she picked it up really quickly, and so we came out here and she started going to the immersion school. And because we participate in Cherokee ceremony also, it allowed us to be closer to our community. And we came out from California because a lot of Cherokees, they left during the Dust Bowl, and so we weren't the only people who came back to Oklahoma eventually, right? And so now I live out here, and we have a huge community. In fact, I was telling you, I went to go visit a Cherokee elder last night, and that family, I got iced in at their house, and so I was able to sleep on a couch, and because it's pretty remote out here, and they did their best to accommodate me on short notice because I was bringing them some food and stuff. And then in the morning, when the salt truck went past, I got behind them in my car and followed the salt truck back into town. So I have a wonderful community that treats me very well. And every once in a while on my doorstep, I'll find food or a blanket or something because I fixed somebody's Kindle and they think I'm Steve Jobs, right? Because I was able to download some stuff. So I just love it out here because it can do a little bit of good every day. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about your family, about your heritage.
So my family, I have actually we did the DNA test, and on my grandmother's side, she's from their family's from Arkansas and Oklahoma, but her maiden name is Wallace. And I guess the Wallace gene is actually the strongest gene in my DNA because I'm mostly Scottish, which is you find out something new every day, right? And so I think I look a lot like my grandma Wallace, and then her family had the Scottish community a long time ago. They are clans, and so when they came across, they married into native tribes here in the United States, and that's on my mother's side. And then on my father's side, we're from a bunch of different places, but they're Spanish from Mexico and indigenous from Mexico also. And I think I told the story to you the other day that my maiden name on my father's side is Bucio, which is from the Canary Islands, which were Spanish. And it's the conch shell. My maiden name is the conch shell that they use in the Canary Islands to blow and make a trumpeting sound. And so we're indigenous also to the Canary Islands and to the people who live there. So all over the world, a little bit from all over the world.
And it sounds like it. And you have a house full of children as well.
Yes, I do. I have 7 children. I have 7 beautiful children, and they're not all at home anymore. My oldest is in medical school in Arizona, and then I have another one in the Bay Area of California going to law school. I have one that just retired from the military, and then I have one working horses here in Oklahoma, and then I have 3 still at home. Gwendolyn, who's 18, she's in her 3rd year of college. Everett, who I just told the story, we found out he was wearing the same clothes since Sunday because he was on a JAG building a VR environment with somebody in Bangladesh, and so he was off schedule. So mom didn't see he was wearing the same clothes for a few days in a row. And but he builds virtual environments. He homeschools, and then Chloe, who's a polyglot, and she walks around complaining about having to do dishes sometimes in Japanese. So, so we have so I only have
That's
3
great.
left at home. But yeah,
Well,
I
how
have
many
3 like
headsets
just
do you
awesome
have?
kids. How many what?
Headsets do you have?
Oh, okay. So no, I have way more headsets than we have heads in our house, and so I usually lend them out in the community, but I have over 20 headsets, and right now all but 7 of them are lent out in the community. So I have about 13 or 14 lent out in the community right now. So, and looking to score some more. So, in fact, I'm in a class right now where somebody said, I'm in an online class, and somebody said, I've never been in a headset before. And I said, if you're driving distance, I will drive this headset over to you right now and put you in headset. So, so always looking to get more people into VR.
Well, how did it happen? How did you get into it at the beginning?
Well, I had been watching what was going on for a while, and at the time, I worked at a university that had headsets but weren't using them. So a few years ago, the Center for Teaching and Learning at the local university here at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the director at the time said, Angelina, we have these 2 Vives and 2 Quests, and we want to they were 2 HTC Vives and 2 Oculus
Riffs.
Rifts. Yes.
Yeah.
So we had 2 Vives and 2 Rifts. They weren't Quests, and nobody's using them. Will you put these into classrooms or get the university to start using it more? And so I had all these ideas, and so I reached out to all of the faculty, and we did a bunch of really great kind of cool stuff with them. But they were really not. I don't think the university really understood the power of VR yet, and so I got pulled off to do more Zoom. And about that time, the American Indian Resource Center had come to one of my events and had seen what I was doing, and they said, "No, no, 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 we're going to do this everywhere." come with us, and we'll let you do it everywhere. We have this contract, and we want to get it all out in the community." And I said, "Oh, okay," because that's really what I wanted to be doing, was showing people the power of VR. So then I started to work with the American Indian Resource Center. But it all started because there was equipment sitting in boxes in a dark closet, which is sad, right?
It's
And
sad.
somebody said, "Can you do something with this? Because we spent all this money and we don't know what to do with it." And I said,
Wow.
"Oh yeah, oh yeah, I can. I will do some stuff with this
That's great.
equipment." So,
And you did, obviously.
and I
So
did,
now,
yeah.
so how did you get connected with educators in VR?
To the wonderful Daniel DeBosky Bryant. So I had went and given, there he is over there in the Hawaiian shirt.
Yep.
So I had gone and given a talk on a talk show in VR in Engage, the same place where we met.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in September, a couple of years ago, at least 2 years ago. And Daniel had seen me there. And then I had started my Twitter account as the VR lady, and I had come across his feed, and then I just got this message. Kind of, I think you messaged me something like, "Hi, how are you? What are you doing? I'm doing this cool thing. You should be a part of this." Something like that is what Daniel sent me. And I said, "Oh, is it cool? All right. I like doing cool things. Let's talk." And so we talked in November of that year. And then, of course, the conference that they put on, that wonderful conference, happened in February, where I met you.
Mhm.
And at that conference, I said, "Well, educators in VR is great, but you know what would be better? Students in VR would be better. Let's
Yes.
do that." So that's how I got to know educators in VR, because they're just doing really cool, really fun stuff. And Daniel and Laurel and Donna are cool, fun people, and that's where I tend to gravitate towards cool and
Wow.
fun.
So,
So
so tell us a little bit about the Students in VR. What is it all about? What are
so
you up to?
the idea behind Students in VR is that the line between educators and students are becoming blurred. So, in fact, when I worked at the university, I just kind of got out of the students' way, and they came up with even better ideas than I could ever come up with. And so, the idea between Students in VR is that all of us are kind of students. The young people are kind of leading the way, though. So, what we do is we identify young people with talent and spark, cool and interesting kids, and then we try to give them the opportunity to develop those talents in VR. And then we promote people who are doing hackathons for youth, or activities that will provide resources to parents and teachers and other educators to help support students. I have a couple of sayings that you'll hear me say in every talk, and one of them is that emerging technology is finally caught up with the creativity and genius of youth. And I think we're all kind of youth at heart, because I often say, like, what would I have done if I would have had this when I was 12, right? If I would have had the internet, if I would have been able to have, access to other worlds, what would I have done? And our youth do have that. But here's the second part of that. So do we. And so we can fulfill that 12-year-old dream of, not having to wait until grandma could give you a ride to the library, and then going to the library and hoping they had the book you wanted, and then checking out the book and knowing you only had it for 2 weeks, but really just at our fingertips, exploring the world, exploring everything that's out there, other people. I had a pen pal who lived in Ireland that, we would get a letter every couple of weeks from each other. But now, look, Daniel's one of my best friends. He lives in Wales. Donna's in Canada. Laurel's in Oregon. Keely's in California, and it's those hopes and wishes and dreams and exploration of our childhood we get to experience now. And so, Students in VR is taking that childhood exploring wonderful student that's in all of us, and just letting us kind of live that again with everything that's available to us now. So that's
It really
the
is
short
remarkable,
answer.
isn't it? It's a short one.
Yeah.
But I understand, though, that with your Students in VR, pretty much you basically set them up to run the show. They run the
Well,
they run the
they're
meetings.
definitely Well, what we do is they really are learning these amazing skill sets. If you come to one of our talks, which
Mhm.
they're in Alt Space at 6 p.m. Central Time on Wednesdays. Our hosts are two 15-year-old students. One of them is located in urban
Mhm.
San Diego, and the other one is located in rural Oklahoma. And they interview our guests as
Mhm.
they've interviewed Tom, they've interviewed Daniel, and they are just developing their skill sets within that space. Learning event production. When we have our conferences, they're learning how to send out emails. They're learning how to do multi-camera recording in world. They're learning how to do world building. And our group is expanding slowly but surely. Our goal is to develop the talent in-house so that they become the teachers of the next group of students, right? And so it'll be
Wow.
students teaching students.
Yeah.
And then what we
Yes.
do is get out of their way. That's like the
So,
biggest thing, the easiest thing to do.
now, Angelina, you have quite also an educational background, a robust one. I mean, you did your master's at Stanford in
I did.
anthropology and went on to do your PhD at
Yes,
University of Pacific.
I did.
That's an amazing accomplishment. So, what is it that motivated you to get into anthropology?
So my family didn't go to college. My family are migrant farm workers for the most part, and truck drivers for the cannery. And so when I was young and identified as gifted and talented, my dad said, "I don't know really how to help you, but listen to everybody who does these things and guide yourself." And so when I started at UC Berkeley, I had the really great mentors, and one of them said, "Don't pick a major, take the classes you like. Pick classes, see what you like." And
Hmm.
so when junior year rolled around and it was time to declare, I had to declare a major, I looked and saw what classes I kept taking. And it turned out I took a whole lot of anthropology courses. And it was because I liked them. And it was a great way for me not to pre plan what I liked and what I was
Yes.
going to be, but to see
Hmm.
who I was.
Wow, that's
and
wonderful.
and that's who I was. I was an anthropologist, and I always say I'm an anthropologist by training, but no, I'm an anthropologist by heart. I like to look at the social constructs in the world and deconstruct them. I like to say, but what if that wasn't a construct? What would happen then? And that's what we do in VR, because we don't have to
Hmm.
import anything in that we don't want. Gravity. Ugh, I don't like that at all. I'm always falling down, hurting myself. I can, I can be whoever I want in here. I can change my size. I might look like I'm a size 6, but I'm not in real life. I can change everything, and some things we like to import, and some things we don't have to. And so, as an anthropologist, the virtual world is the best place to explore, and there's a saying, I think Jaron Laney said, virtual reality reveals character. And so I
Hmm.
like to see who people are when there are no limits. Who are you really? Who am I really? Become self-exploration. So anthropology, I was just drawn to it. I was just really drawn to why people behave the way that they do. I think everybody wakes up in the morning and wants to be a good person, and they want to live a life that's happy. And I just want to do that too and help other people find joy. And so, as an anthropologist, I think that's a way of doing it,
Wow.
is by examining ourselves in the world that we live in. But more importantly, now we get to create the world that we live in. So, do that in a reflective manner. So,
Wow.
now that's a
We could
topic I
probably
have
end
to be
right
careful
there.
about. Well, I got to tell you, that's a topic I could just keep talking about. So, I better stop now.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, of late, have signed on to helping with the Virtual World Society and helping
Yeah.
to put the program together for the Learning Living Room. Now, what is your motivation now about that? What are you trying to do there, and or do you have any questions you'd like to ask the audience in that regard about what you're up
Yeah.
to now?
Yes. And so, I think that one of the things that really got me excited about working with the Virtual World Society is this idea of the learning living room. That because in our home, we have a learning living room. I mean, that's all of us. We're just we like to say we're nerds, right? We're a nerd family, and we get together and we explore the world through the internet and through experiences where we travel, but we also get together in VR. And we see the wonderful power of VR in our home. But I know not all families are as fortunate as ours to bring virtual reality into their living rooms, into their homes, share it with their families. I've heard a lot of stories of people who, because of COVID, they couldn't go visit. I just heard this story the other night. A man couldn't go visit his parents because of COVID over the holidays, and so he sent them a headset and they bowled together. They went bowling
Wow.
together. And
Wow.
his elderly parents can't bowl in real life. They can't lift up a bowling ball, but they used to when they were young, and so they were able to get
That's
together
cool.
and do a social event, and that's a wonderful thing. And there's so many more facets about learning and training and sharing and growing and building the world that we're going to live in. And as a researcher now for Virtual World Society, we're looking for ways to deploy VR to large numbers of communities. That's what I do. I go out and I put VR in my everyday job, in my everyday life. Even if I wasn't getting paid, I go out and I take VR into the community and I say, use this and tell me what it does, what it doesn't do, how I can support you in using it more. Before COVID happened, I would take it into the bank and put it on the ladies at the bank, and I'd put it on my hairdresser, and I would just take it everywhere with me. Now you can't do that, but I can't wait until we all get vaccinated and we can start doing that again. So my question for the audience is, what can what can we do? What can Virtual World Society do? What can we as a society do? What can Angelina as the VR lady do to help bring VR into the lives of more people so that they can experience the wonder that we get to experience right now? And they opened up the raised hands. If you look down to your right, because we're in more than one room. And I don't know, Donna, are you moderating this or did you want me
Yes.
to?
Did you
And
hear
Donna
me?
will yes, I did. Donna will
Okay.
moderate this for us.
Okay, so you guys, we're going to try and get in this discussion and in Q&A today. We're going to try and get in as many answers as possible. So if you could just keep that in mind when you're responding. And Keely, you get to the birthday girl gets to be. We have 2 birthdays in the room today that we know of. If there's more, please let us know. But Keely, you get to go up first. Keely, are you muted?
She's working on it, it looks like.
I'm gonna toggle the megaphone, okay, for you. So there we go. Let's try it again, Keely.
Okay, sorry about that. It was like so many pop-ups coming in, and I'm like, so many pop-ups. So so I do the virtual schooling group here in All Space Educators in VR, and you all know that. And I'm a big supporter of getting the VR headsets into the community, but oftentimes it feels like a huge mountain, and I don't know where to start climbing it. Like, it'd be really helpful if we had some kind of document to show, okay, if you're bringing the headsets to this class or this age range, have them put this headset on and try these experiences out just to get them enticed into it. Because right before COVID hit, I was trying to get my local Goals Who Code group into building virtual environments, and they weren't quite getting it because it was just on their cell phones, right? And I'd love to get the headsets in there and to kind of have a nice reference sheet. Does that make sense? To be like, okay, try this experience out, try this platform out, get them excited and motivated. So, yeah. And then possibly links on grants and whatnot that we could try to apply for and guidance on that. Yeah.
So I hear you say 2 things, Keely. I hear you say that support material, and then also some financial support for great ideas. Is that
right? Exactly, because I feel
So
like, at least in my experience when I've worked with it, if I can sit there and say all day, VR is awesome, and it is. But if I have a group of young kids, young girls behind me from so many different socioeconomic backgrounds, also screaming with me, get VR," it would get a better support and financial
Right.
support in my community. So, yeah.
great,
Well,
great.
that was fabulous, Keely. Okay, our next person is Paprika. I'm going to amplify your voice. Go ahead. We'll be able to hear you when you unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello. So I mentioned this in other events before, but just I think a good way to do it is really maximize the experiences that you have in VR by sharing the knowledge that you learn through these events and little fun intimate moments that you may have with friends. Mention them to your friends outside of VR. Talk about them and really feel them as you're talking about it. And I think that passion will translate well enough until where people get curious. That's what's happened in my case, where people in my life have become curious because I spend my time here and then I take the things that I experience here and I talk about them and I kind of tailor them to maybe issues that we're having in our community or things that are happening. Like one thing is a lot of my friends are recent university graduates, but they feel kind of stuck. And there's a lot of these niche communities that exist in alt space and that exist in other VR platforms that can be accessible through 2D mode as well. So really just when you experience something in virtual reality, maximize it to its fullest potential and communicate that as broadly as you can. That's what I do.
It's sharing and
Thanks.
connecting. Sharing and connecting, right? Because we all want to be connected and we all want to share what we've learned. And so I hear you saying do that and amplify it. And then other people will know it and it'll be contagious. I believe that. I know that it is. But not in a COVID bad way, in a good way.
Right.
Contagious isn't such a good word to use nowadays. I
So,
agree.
Tom, you guys, can I take one more and we'll save the rest for
You bet.
when we do the Q&A later? Okay, so
Right.
VR girl Jean, go ahead and unmute and we'll be able to hear you. Thank you, Paprika.
Hi, everyone. I work in a library and I created a virtual reality program to introduce the community to VR. And one of the things I did was to create a pop-up VR cafe. And once a month, I would set up the VR headsets in the middle of the library where the main traffic is, and I would pick a theme. For the first one, it was in honor of Anne Frank's birthday. So I had a display of books about Anne Frank and the headset so they could go on the tour of Anne Frank's house. And another
That's cool.
one was based on the anniversary of the man's trip to the moon, and we used the Apollo VR experience, had a collection of books on it, and we did that. So that was going great. It was reaching a community that couldn't afford to buy the headsets. So we decided to use our outreach program to take the headsets to a local senior center once a week, and they begged us to make it twice a month instead of once a month. So, and they just wanted to travel everywhere. So we got off to a great start, and we also added it to the library's video gaming program so they could try VR games. And the plan is to grow it and to get them making VR videos. We plan to have a VR art class to teach them how to use Tilt Brush, because we have a lot of groups that love art. But then COVID kind of stopped everything. But my concern now is whenever the library will be able to open for programs again, how do I properly sanitize these headsets so people will want to try VR again? I know there is a clean box that's good, but it's extremely expensive. So it would help if we knew about some ways to get funding to get a sanitation device, so when we can continue the program, we can do it without people being afraid of, having spreading germs.
There was the issue of hygiene in some of the communities I was working in, spreading lice or the smell. What I said was, after if the boys went to gym class in high school and then came to wear my headsets all smelled like puberty after they left. And then I learned it wasn't so much about cleaning the headsets as cleaning the boys. And then my headset smelled better. But hygiene is a huge issue in the communities that I work in. But what the lovely part of the story that you're saying for me is that librarians will save us yet again. Because your program sounds just wonderful, and we did put the kids in Anne Frank's house when they were reading Anne Frank at one of the schools, and some of them were weepy about it because the idea of I can't walk there because the board would creak is something that they read, but in Anne Frank house, when you move across, you can hear the creaking, and all of a sudden it had a different effect on them, right? For those of you that haven't experienced Anne Frank's house, highly recommend it. And so, yeah, the again, I hear if we had more money to do some of these great ideas, then yeah, and look at Keely. Keely knows. Then we can, and hygiene is going to be a big issue. COVID slowed all of us down. It really changed the rollout of these things. I'm can't wait until we can get back to. Like I said, I always had it on me. I was putting everybody at the grocery store or the bank or whatever in headsets, and that all kind of stopped. And I can feel your disappointment when you weren't able to share it again. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
I think
thank you,
it's a good example.
Mhm.
I think it goes back to what Paprika said, which is if you have a great story, share it. So
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that.
So Angelina, so now you have all this amazing background, and you have some new opportunities to do some things that are built upon that. And what do you see now as the direction you would like to take? And what do you think? How can we mobilize as a community to help you in this venture? So, sort of tell us what your thinking is now, where we should go from here.
I think that had the pandemic happened a year or two later, we would have all rolled out VR in our libraries and we would have given the word of mouth, and we would have had the homeschools ready to go. And I think, while it was fortunate that it happened, the way that it did, it's unfortunate that it happened at all, but that it happened in the middle of this emerging tech boom. I think all of us have grown a little bit of disdain for Zoom, and we're looking for something a little bit more. If we can just
Yeah.
connect a little bit more than in 2D, I think we're ready to embrace. We realize that we can go digital. We realize that there's a digital divide that we need to overcome. We realize that there's potential for us to grow, and so we're kind of primed. And there are those of us that have been in this in VR throughout this pandemic, and we're so, like Paprika said, ready to share, ready to move forward. And so, I think with the work that Educators in VR does and Virtual World Society does in bringing people together, I think that when we galvanize that in a way where we're supporting each other, sharing resources, that next push is going to be the deployment on a large scale. And I think one of the reasons why I like working with Virtual World Society is I think when schools shut down and the focus became the home again, we realized that there's a lot that can be done in the home. The home used to be the center of everything, of all the learning. And then even in the 50s, remember when it was like the television was on and everybody in the family was around the television. And so I think now that people know that they can put cat filters on Zoom and take them off if you really want to, and they can hook up to the internet with a hotspot, and they can reach these different levels of aptitude with their technology, they're going to seek after more and more and more, and they're going to look to us in the room, to say, how do I do this? What do I do next? Students in VR has this saying, which is discern, discover, discuss. Discern is, what do I need to know before I venture out into the VR world to keep myself safe and to know the difference between information, disinformation, what's wholesome, what's not wholesome. How do I keep myself in environments I want to be in? And then discover is, where's all the cool people? Where's all the cool stuff? And then again, back to Paprika's point, and then discuss, how do I share this with everybody else? And so what we want to do, and Students in VR, is to help people discern, discover, and discuss. And we really believe, just like the World Society does, that that's going to happen in our most intimate relationships first. That we're going to go tell our best friend, we're going to go tell our mom. How many TikToks did you see where the kid was out there TikToking, and then the next video it's them and their mom, and the next TikTok it's them, their mom, and their grandma, right? Because it becomes contagious, that little dance move that they want to share and they want to connect. And so I think we need to be primed to lead that tsunami that's coming. People who are going to say, I want to do this, and I want to do it with the people I love, and I want to share it with the people I love, and I want to do it in a way that's safe, and I want to do it in a way that's wholesome and good. And because if I'm going to build the next world that I live in, I want it to be a place where I can live and grow and be nurtured. And that's what we can do in VR. And so we want to help promote that. And the Virtual World Society does, Educators in VR does, the local library does, the local homeschool group does. So I don't know if that was a specific answer, Tom, but those are my thoughts on that.
Yes, thank you for that. Well, I'm sure that we have a number of questions coming from the audience. I mean, this has been just really not only a very interesting journey that you've taken, but also there's heart that you're giving to us and guidance you're giving to us. So let's open up the door for questions. Is that okay with you? And
Yeah.
hear what specific questions others might have. So,
Okay.
Donna, you want to help us with that?
Absolutely. So, Celestial, I've just amplified your voice if you unmute. And just before you begin, as we're going through these questions, you guys, I expect there's always lots of questions during these times. So if you could just limit it to one question, and just try and keep your question to as short as possible, as long as necessary, okay? And we can get through as many questions as possible. So thank you. Celestial, you get to go first.
Oh, okay. Awesome. The question was actually from the last round. My hand obviously stayed raised. So I was not exactly prepared to this, but something I'm very inspired and curious about, and maybe you guys want to chime in on this since you've obviously had a lot of experience and you probably have an opinion on this, is how VR can help the planet on an ecological level, and how we can educate people about along this topic on conservation and things like reducing our collective carbon footprint. Maybe you have some insight on this.
Did you want to answer that? Well, actually, I really want to call on Doug, who's in the audience, because Doug has done a lot of work on carbon footprints in VR. He's in the back there, but I don't want to call him out. Doug has sent me a lot of information about this. There are people that are really looking at how the carbon footprint has changed just since COVID has happened, and I think that unlike a 2D platform like Zoom that doesn't quite satiate the need for connection, I think that VR will promote even more staying home and being safe, and reduce the need for travel. One of the things that happened right at the beginning, I don't know if you were here, Celestial, is that Keely announced that it was her birthday, and then Daniel said it's my birthday too, and they went over and hugged. And the first time I met the first time I met Tom, we were so excited about the work we were both doing that we hugged too. And it's just not something you can do on Zoom. It's just not something that you and there's a place for 2D in our life. And in my most controversial of moments, I say screens are dead, but they're not really dead any more than books are dead or writing's dead. But I think when we talk about motivation to engage with the world in the places that we currently are, I think that VR provides something more than what we have right now, and I think you're going to see a reduction in our carbon footprint when we can really bond and share without in a way that's fulfilling. Not just that I can see you on my phone and you can see me. Although if you've ever been in a Zoom meeting, I may see everybody else, but I'm really only looking at myself during the Zoom meeting. But I'm in your question connected. But really see somebody else and feel them and engage with them. So that's I think it all comes down to connection. While we talk about the environment,
Yes.
it really comes down to connection.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, Celeste. It's Celeste, is that right? Celestial?
Yes,
Celestial.
Celeste.
Yeah, Celeste. One of the things that I just gave a talk a few days ago about moonshots, and that we've had, of course, the original moonshot was happened when we went to the moon, when John F. Kennedy said, "We choose to go to the moon," in September of 1962, and he said, "We're going to do this before the end of the decade." Now, we hadn't even been come close. We had just barely orbited a person around the Earth, and here we're going to go to the moon. Now, this was a vision of something that could be done. And it's interesting that Martin Luther King never said, and I think, Caitlin, you may have said this to me, Martin Luther King never said, "I have a plan." Right? So it's all about dreams, but at the same time, dreams without education, without execution, are hallucinations. So we've got to turn the dreams into actions. I think all of us dream of a clean planet. We dream of a place for our grandchildren to grow up in safety, in harmony with the beautiful Earth. I think the Earth is sort of done with us in a way. Our children, they say, my children are not respecting their mother. So how does this happen? And I think, Celeste, we're back to this situation where we have to unlock certainly our minds and hearts, but we also need to link them. And it's that connection that Angelina was talking about, I think is so important, because the movement has to happen with individuals. Now, governments, there's some top-down stuff that would go on there. Paris Peace, the Climate Accords, all these kinds of things. But it really has to be something in the hearts of everyone and appreciating that. And I believe that that's where we are trying to lift mankind, so that we can see and work together and specifically know the things we can do. And one of the projects, back to what Angelina is working on now, the learning living room, is what can a family do to help with climate change, starting there. And so, and there'll be projects that are done with not only within that family, but across families, in the local community, and nationally, and globally. So that's one of the things we're trying to do with the learning living room, is to awaken and to spark imagination and creativity, and help individual family members to realize they have more power than they think.
Nice.
And
Well
that's
said.
how movements happen. Yeah.
And I want to just share a love story real fast with you, Celeste, if that's okay. I think Doug might not be in the room anymore, but he introduced the idea of a Zoomer. You know how we're the Z generation, they call them Zoomers, and that the next generation will be a Zoomer, which are virtual natives. And my son is very much a virtual native. He spends all day, every day working working online digitally and in VR. And so his experience of love the first time happened in VR, where he met a little girl in the UK, and she would draw pictures, and then he would take those pictures and animate them for her, and they would meet in VR together. And one day, the girl, when they were about 13, the girl said, "I never want you to meet me in real life." And he said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, because I don't have a lot of friends. You see, I have a lot of pimples on my face, and I'm not very pretty. And I want you to still like me, so I don't want you to see what I really look like." And he said to her, "You fell in love with me when I was a velociraptor. I don't care what you look like."
That is so cute. I've actually DJ'd a wedding in VR, so I'm an advocate of digital love and love in all of
Love,
its strange
digital
forms.
Digital love.
Digital love.
That's right.
Right? And so if you can fall in love digitally, that's, it's a connection, right? And so there's my love story. Okay,
For
Donna said,
Valentine's Day.
take as long as you need to answer a question, but not so long that there's not time for other questions. So Donna, do you have we're taking a long time. Sorry.
That's okay. Thanks for your question, Celeste. Keely, you're up next. Okay, I'm going to toggle try it again, Keely. Oh, we're having trouble with Keely.
I'm in VR all the time, and
there she is.
There has to be a technical difficulty, or it's not a real VR event.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm making it real for everyone. I just wanted to touch on what you said about COVID kind of slowing things down. I also work at a library too and do a lot of the VR stuff when you have a makerspace, and it's really awesome. And it did slow down and unfortunately stopped some research, but it also pushed the virtual worlds because, like you said, people getting zoomed out. And so I got a lot of emails going, "Oh, I seen the thing you did with Mozilla Hubs or like Altspace or something. Like, I want a custom application built for this, or I want a custom role built for that." And so I feel like I was in the car, and it just feels like somebody slammed on the brakes, and it just did 0 to 60 within like a couple of weeks. So I just kind of want to comment my experience with it, how it slowed it down, but then also kind of projected us in a way that I never even thought, that happened because of this. So silver lining, or what they would say, the necessity mother of invention, or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I kind of feel like. So even though it's COVID happened, I still think that there's a silver lining of this whole virtual reality and connecting. So
Yeah, I feel like it primed us. We're primed now.
Yes.
That's awesome. So thank you, Keely. We have 2 more questions. So AP, I'm going to amplify your voice, and we'll have time for one more question after yours, okay? So go ahead, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, we didn't know about VR until last week. So, we've been here for a week now.
Wow.
Well, we're glad you're here. How exciting. Feel the love in the room for you.
And you're from Fiji then? Mm-hmm.
Did you have a question, or are you having problems with your speaking? Yeah. Okay. Well, you have time. No worries. Yeah. Just unmute yourself. Here, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to toggle something on my side. Now try unmuting yourself again, and let's see if it works. Yes, I can hear you.
This is George, 3D Printing Fiji. They're kind of very shy, especially in front of a big room. They want to introduce, now that they see the power of VR, they want to introduce VR for education here. It's pretty much unknown. And I heard that the students in VR offer experienced guides to guide the new people. and I guess they need all the help they can get. So if it's possible for someone, to like be their guide and just kind of help them out a bit, and then also, if we can get some headsets from somewhere, I guess we need all the help we can get.
Yes, yeah. Let's. Oh, you disappeared into the wall, but.
What the hell? How we're still here, but somehow what do we do? We can hear you, but
You'll have to re-enter.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go. You're back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, we would love for them to be involved in Students in VR, and there's an email at students@studentsinvr.com, and then we can start a conversation about seeing what we can do. I think there's a lot of people that if they just can get a headset, they would jump in. And so we're really trying to look for opportunities to make those headsets more available. The price is dropping. Tom, you would agree, right?
Yes.
And so it's becoming more affordable. For what I'll get on my soapbox just very briefly. When ed tech funds are available, it's very important to reach out to somebody you trust. I say, and this is an awful thing to say, I know, but I say Best Buy salesmen are not your friends, because a lot of times when there's ed tech money in a school, and maybe they don't know who to go to, and so we'd like to offer through Virtual World Society, through Students in VR, through Educators in VR, people that can guide you towards the best purchases for your money to get into virtual reality. And so I don't know so much that any of us have funds to fund an entire school, but when schools do have ed tech funds, we'd want them to discern, discover, and discuss those possibilities for how they might be able to get the best hardware for their money. And so we would love, yeah. And go on. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, they were just muting. There's an echo going
Oh,
through
okay,
there, so they were just muting.
And
Yeah.
so, yes, and I think that there's a lot of information through educators in VR, especially in how to access things and make the most. A lot of people will think that if they don't have 30 headsets, they don't have enough headsets for a classroom. And I just want to make this point. I know we're running out of time. 30 students should not be in headsets all at once. When I go into classrooms, I put 5 kids in a headset because the students are learning from watching people in headsets, hearing what they're saying when they're in headsets, having their own experience in headsets, discussing what each of them experienced differently in headsets. And so if you have 2 or 5 or even 1, you can start. We had a whole university and we had 4 headsets and we were able to do a lot. I have quite a few. I usually roll out 10 every time I go to a school, and I can go through 100 students with those 10, 200 students with those 10. And so I don't think that because every person doesn't have a headset, once we learn how to clean them, am I right, VR Gene? You can rotate those headsets through. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people in this room that would love to share ideas with you. Thank you for becoming part of our VR community.
You bet. Happy to help.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to meet new users and make new friends. So we're excited that you are here and made your way into this room. So thank you. And we're going to close out the Q&A with Caitlin. So go ahead, Caitlin.
All right. So just wanted to say that I have a visual word cloud right now in my head. Most common things that people were sharing today was worlds, build, action, dreams, and I think underneath it all, accessibility and that mutual energy of knowing what's happening on the ground with each other, knowing about Gene's library initiative, hearing about Paprika and his stories. So I'm just really excited. We've had 2 Virtual World Society meetups that have been in Zoom for open accessibility. And we're really shaking it up in 2021 and diversifying the worlds that we go into to share. So just wanted to say this event is perfectly aligned with what's coming in 2 weeks. Thursday, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a meetup inside of AltSpace, and the event link is already on the VWS calendar. the whole theme is about imagination and dreams and how that meets with the worlds that we're creating inside of VR. So it's not a technical world building exercise. It's a mind share where we're getting together as a community, and the theme is if you can dream it, you can build it. So when you have ideas and projects that you're interested in getting involved in VWS, please sign up to come in 2 weeks. And if you can't make it then, just get involved as a member in the community, and you're going to hear about all of the different events we have planned for the year. This one is a members only meetup, so you have to join first as a VWS member, which is totally free, and that link is also on the website. And then we're going to get into a fun space inside of VR and start sharing about our dreams and what's happening on the ground with our superpowers put into action. So that was my really quick share, trying to fit that all into a minute and a half. But if you have more questions, just reach out to me. My email is also on the website, and you'll see the event link. Again, on the VWS webpage, there's an event calendar that's right up on the slide. And we really are connecting minds and hearts and looking toward action this year. So thanks so much, and this talk was so inspiring. I also loved being at Students in VR a couple weeks ago. So thank you, Angelina and Tom.
Thank you, Caitlin and Tom. I'm just going to sneak in our other birthday person today is Daniel from Educators in VR, the founder of Educators in VR. And so we'll make an exception, and we'll let Daniel close out the Q&A.
Thank you so much. I've been listening. I've been absorbing. I've been just soaking up this family VR vibe, because I feel it is tribe, it is family. This for me is family and tribe. So, but I had an idea. We were talking about, somebody asked, how can we support more people, more families experiencing this technology, using this technology. And I wanted to suggest an idea, and we can discuss this further, but a share pledge. So I am going to pledge that I will share VR with at least one other person or one other family member, either a week or a month. It's a bit of a project and initiative, and we could sign up to it. We could share our experiences or not, it doesn't matter. But the idea is that we here, I consider us the front runners, and we have I feel a responsibility to ensure that this reaches many people because of what I know the power to be, but also to ensure that other people's first experiences with this technology is good, is positive, is wholesome. Without people like us who are here to promote the benevolent use, the benevolent development of this technology, their first experiences might be underwhelming, or roller coaster rides, zombie experiences, shoot 'em up, things like this. So I want to suggest a bit of a project, and this is just literally an idea I've had while listening to you, but is this pledge to share VR with other people. I think from grassroots up, people like us, if we can slowly grow it in a good way, that might be something worth pursuing. But thank you very much. That's my birthday wish. So now you're all bound by it.
I love it.
We'll give you your birthday present, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel,
A binding contract once you blow up the candles.
Exactly. Sign your name. I think it's the essence of our community. Our community actually lives that share pledge in action. That's awesome.
We should make that a little bit of a thing. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
And so just to finish up, before we sort of have everyone just interact with each other and have a little fun there, if you want to contact Angelina, feel free to do so. She is just, as you could tell from just the short exposure we've had here, one amazing person and mother and dreamer and doer and all those kinds of things. And so contact her, Angelina at the VR Lady, and I'm sure she'll be happy to with you talk to you about what the work she's doing and how we can work together. Also, just a reminder too, with Caitlin, every other week we have an event, a Virtual World Society event. So basically, we have a fireside chat every 4 weeks, and we have a community event every 4 weeks. So coming up in the 2 weeks, we have this amazing continuation of this community dialogue where we want to actually turn these dreams into actions. And this is a time that Caitlin is leading this as a member of the staff of the Virtual World Society. And so please feel free to come to that, sign up as a member, and so that you basically have you're in the inner sanctum in the family and have all of the events that you may like to attend. So with that, I want to thank you, Angelina. As always, you're wonderful.
Thank you, Tom.
We love you, and you've lifted us once again. And thanks for coming. And I'm sure that many of you may want to come up and ask Angelina whatever questions you might have. Feel free to do so. Meanwhile, see you in 2 weeks for the next community event. Thank you, educators in VR, for all that you do for us. You're wonderful, and you've helped us so much along the way. So thanks for coming, everyone, and we shall see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Angelina.